When I was working at a company and I went to my boss asking for something, the response was, "It's your job, you should know how to do it." And that day, I went in a self questioning mode, thinking that what is it that I did wrong, or why did that person not guide me? And then it struck me after a long time that I was just used as a scapegoat, or that person did not know the answers to the questions. And these were the red flags that I had missed out on earlier before I accepted that particular employment. If you are going through some things like this, then this video will help you understand what are the red flags you should be looking for before you even accept a particular job offer. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Mansi Sanghavi, and here's where we talk about career development and any and everything that will help you in your professional life. In today's video, we're going to talk about what are the red flags that you should be looking for before you go and accept a job offer. So let's begin. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you are always updated with new videos that I come up with every week. So coming back to our topic on the red flags that you need to see while you're in an interview process. The first thought that I want to share with you is the fact that an interview is a two-way process. So never think or feel that you are obligated to take up that job offer because they've called you in for an interview. That is a place that you're going to spend most of your awake time, like 8 to 9 to 10 hours on an average. So you should also be liking the environment in which you're going to go ahead and work. So always remember that it's a two-way process and not something that you're obligated to go ahead and accept, even if you feel not good about it, or even if you have an instinct or a feeling about it in a way that it's not going to work, or you feel negative about it. Please don't go ahead and accept the job offer. The first red flag that I want you to look at is, how is the environment of the building? Is the building in a little far corner of the road? Is it too dingy? Is it smelly, not maintained? Are the dustbins overflowing in the bathroom? That sort of a thing. So when you work in an environment, you want to have a positive feeling when you're working there, right? And if that particular work environment is not maintained just in terms of hygiene, obviously there won't be a lot of good vibes when you're working in that particular workplace. So that is the first thing that you want to sort of look at. Certain small things also could be around the security of the building, the lighting around it, and so on and so forth. Because when you're spending so much of your time in an office, it is very important that you actually have a good workplace or a good work environment to be in. Speaking of the same thing, when you had gone in for an interview, did they ask you to pay for things like a coffee? Do they have any free services for employees who are working there? There are some companies like Google and many others now that have a work culture of providing free food and at least coffee to their employees, because you are there for so many hours, right? Also, you can check out their vending machine and see what kind of food do they offer, just to have an idea of what is free, what is available, and do they really think of their employees in a good way or not. So see if there is any free facility, free food available for employees or not. How is the cafeteria? How is just the overall look and feel as soon as you enter that particular building? If you find anything little off or not in the shape and form that you would expect, then definitely this is going to be a red flag for you, and maybe you should think twice. The second red flag is the behavior of the interviewer. So when you are interacting with this person, do they make you feel like it's your job to do a lot of things and they're just going to direct you and you just have to go ahead in the office and do the work? Is that the kind of vibe that you're getting from them? Are they like too short, or they're not reciprocative to your questions or the entire interaction? That would also be another red flag that you should be looking at. While you were interacting with these guys, did you think that this position would let you grow? So growth happens when you're given a platform to actually share and project your ideas and your thoughts. And if this particular person or the interviewer made you feel that you always have to do what they have to say, then there might not be a lot of scope for growth in terms of your career progression. So these are things that you want to look for when it comes to red flags for that particular interviewer. I want to share an example over here. I was called in for an interview in mid-afternoon on a work day, and I had informed them that I will be going into the interview and then I will be going back to work, because it was somewhere around after lunch and the distance was not much between my office and the place of interview. I was mentally prepared. I had to sort of give some reason at the current organization that I was working at, that I have to go run an errand and I have to go back. Now what happened was, as soon as I reached the new organization where I had to go in for the interview, the person was 15 minutes late. So already I was so anxious, because I was like, oh my god, will I go back on time? Will I make it back on time in the office? The next thing they come and tell me is that, Mansi, we're so sorry that we're caught up in some issue and I will not be able to interview you right now. Can you come back in 45 minutes? And that made me feel like, how do I go and come back in 45 minutes? It's not like it's the end of the day. And in fact, I had communicated this to them already, that listen, I'm going to, go back to the office right after the interview is done. So that kind of left like a sour taste in my mouth. And even once I had the interaction, I waited actually, I had the interaction, but I had made up my mind that I do not want to work for this particular organization. So if something like this happens, or if the interview is making you wait for a long time, then definitely it's a huge red flag. The third red flag is if they're asking you inappropriate questions. Now this could either come from the recruiter or it could come from the hiring manager. Now remember that recruiters usually do not have anything against you. They're asking you questions which the company or the employer has asked them to ask the potential candidate. So you can't hold anything against them. But if the interviewer is explicitly asking you personal questions, then yes, it is definitely a red flag. So something like, how old are you? Are you planning to get married or not? Do you have kids at home? Do you live in a joint family? And especially when it comes to the Indian scenario, these kind of questions get asked quite often, which definitely means that they want you to overwork, or they think that you are a problem and there is no equality in terms of the hiring process when such questions are being asked. In one of the organizations that I was working at, somebody had asked me to go in to the office on a Saturday. So I went in for one Saturday. They asked me to go again on the next Saturday. I did that, and then I realized that it was becoming like a continual pattern, and I just stopped. I did not go back again into the office on a Saturday, and I said that, listen, I get paid for like Monday to Friday, and Saturday and Sunday are my weekends. And the response that I got was, so what do you do on weekends? As if you're doing something important. And I was really shocked. I did not know what to say or to respond at that moment. But a week post that, I knew that this is not the kind of organization I want to be associated with. So you want to be very careful of the kind of questions somebody's asking you, even if they're laughing and asking you that question over a little coffee chat, or as soon as you join the company, if somebody's trying to know such things about you, it's your right not to answer it at all. And you should be completely aware that these are red flags that one should not be talking about in the office environment. The fourth red flag that you need to look at is if they're really desperate to hire, which means if you're going into the office and you're going in for an interaction and then immediately they're like, okay, congratulations, we would be happy to offer the position to you, or within a day itself they go ahead and offer you the position. Of course, in some cases, it could be that you're like really awesome and it has worked out well for both the parties. But then that also strikes a thought of why are they so desperate to hire you, right? And you want to make sure that there are no red flags around it. And you want to make sure that you're talking to employees who are working there to know that this is the right position for you or not. A good exercise for you would be to talk to people who were in that same position. So whoever was your predecessor in that particular position, if you can talk to them through LinkedIn or through some other way, that will be the most awesome thing, because then you know the truth or the reality of why the person left, and if there was something in terms of the organizational culture or the environment that was toxic because of which that person left. Another good method of knowing if that organization is having red flags or not is a toxic work environment, which can be measured through the attrition rate. So if you can ask, or if you can know more about how many people have left that particular organization in the last 1 year, you can know that even through glassdoor.com or any of these websites. That will be a good indication for you to understand if the environment is toxic or not. Most of the times people leave that organization or the company because they're not able to grow, and it is too overwhelming, too much work, not a lot of privacy, those kind of issues. So you want to be 100% sure that you have all the grounds covered by talking to ex-employees, by talking to the predecessor in that particular organization, in that particular position, and then also doing your research through glassdoor.com. The fifth red flag is around showcasing the skill sets. So most of the organizations go ahead and ask you to do a project, right? Like they'll tell you that, why don't you showcase your skill sets and tell us what you can do. It comes in after 4 or 5 rounds of interviews, and if the question is too blurry or if it is too much non-specific, then definitely it's a red flag, which means that they have some ideas in mind and all they're doing is they're scheduling interviews just to get work done. And that could also mean that this particular position is open for a long time. So another question that you might want to ask the hiring manager or the recruiter is, for how long has this position been open? Because if they are using this method to just use people and get free work done, then definitely you don't want to go for that particular company, because it's just a waste of your and their time. An incident similar to this had happened to me when I was applying to a company in Mumbai. They called me into their office twice, and after having a detailed discussion about how do I work, what would I go about doing in the next 2 or 3 months, they got back to me saying that, okay, so can you tell me the specific steps of how will you go about doing each of these things that you mentioned in the plan? And that just made me feel like they're probably just using my skill sets to get their work done, and then they would actually get it implemented by somebody else. So if you hear something like that, or if you feel that the assignment that is given to you is too long, too elaborate, you should definitely say no. You should not be spending more than a couple of hours, like maximum 4 to 5 hours, on any of these assignments that are given to you through the company. The sixth red flag that you should be looking at is the turnover rate. I know I've touched upon this earlier in this video, but this is one of your criteria for accepting a job offer. So you want to go ahead and do your groundwork or your research on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, PayScale, any of these portals where you can find maximum information, because only when people are not happy in an organization, they will actually go and take the effort to write down about it, right? So you want to be cognizant of the fact that, is there a trend that is popping up in that particular organization? And if so, then definitely you want to probably just stop the hiring process then and there. Another way is to ask the hiring manager about it, and most of the companies have to be very open about it in a way that they should tell the prospects or the new people that, okay, this is the kind of attrition rate, these are the reasons why people are quitting. So don't be afraid to ask this question and have a clarity around what is the attrition rate like, and ask why, like why is it that people are leaving. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Please do like, share and subscribe, because that keeps me motivated to keep creating these videos for y'all. I will see you in the next video.